Where do you want to go first?
Yeah, like, if we could do this. All right. I could go over. Yeah.
Which? You should
No,
talk.
no. Yeah. I'll be
Yeah.
But he will be. Yeah.
We gotta label
Obedience.
it. That's a lot of tables, just like. I'm not quite the same on Christmas Day. Lots of people
Yeah.
No, I'm just kind of making sure.
Yeah, I have tons of grandchildren.
And my older one
I suppose.
13.
Probably the three that could-
They run into
Yeah. Well, this is supposed to be there. That's supposed to be there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, it's, I will say, every day's a good day, so just so bad. So, you know, there's times. Hi, Steve, how are you?
And she's right there.
It's all learning curve. It's like,
Now, I'm really learning a lot.
Love that interaction. Some of actually, probably what it needs when this same, there's some you don't see a lot. There's nice That's what you see that little way. Yeah. So she says.
It's just weird.
I think they're all.
It makes a difference when you know someone.
So even the rest of what we earlier.
I think so. I think so.
I would like that to show me what
Each
happens.
state has
Yeah. For some states, they got 40 or 50 electors, so it's a bigger challenge.
Did your family because your family brings much very well. Literally.
It's your father.
I'll still be taking pictures of you. I'm here. Yes, I do.
Yeah, you probably.
You called it. You're right.
But it's convenient.
She's
I thought it was very convenient.
You stay warm by the fire. I turned it on earlier for you.
It's great.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Is that level? Is that kind of how?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
This first time is.
Think so. But, catch Megan. Catch Megan. Is she here tonight? I haven't seen her yet.
Very cute.
How's it drive down?
Summer. No, I don't see a car hardly until I get to, I come from Keene.
Yeah.
So quiet. And there was, the road's clear.
I remember, yeah.
Well, sign of the times.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is we have the bad news is it's the middle of December, we haven't had any winter yet.
Wednesday, I think, Wednesday night.
Is that,
That's what I heard.
that's still, I mean, if you remember December, I remember one year where it was like October 22nd.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Trying times.
It is.
Are
And like,
you going to attend in person on Friday?
Yeah. You, no, we.
you and I are looking at
Deborah's
on
not-
like
He's not?
January.
She's, Deborah's not.
Today? Or Wednesday or Friday? Oh, really?
And I will probably say that. I will probably say that.
And my decision's even better. Is he out of town or just doesn't want to be in the crowds?
She doesn't want to, well, I didn't want to do pictures.
Oh, yeah. I thought you said the governor.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I knew that.
That's when I heard you say Eves.
Yeah.
I lightly work it in.
And it's not.
So have you found anything you're interested in yet, or you still?
The problem is I found a couple. They won't, so far, the basement and the garage have gotten cleared. And I'm picking up a tractor on Thursday.
Where you at? For firemen?
Yeah,
Yeah, good.
yeah. I always wanted one. Amy said, go do it. It's time.
Show on shopping mall.
Oh, yeah.
We had ground, so I was gonna chop it. Ran up and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Those places have made big differences. Now,
You know, you look at some of them, it's, especially people that are creative, which are not, wants to sell their wares. Makes it pretty nice.
Yeah.
Versus, geez, I gotta go out and explore further, right? I'd rather just look around the back of the car and try to sell it.
yeah. Yeah. Not creative either.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot, but Abby told me this guy, but I didn't really like her too much. And yeah, I'm not sure she's what it is.
What's that?
Good.
Yes, I didn't realize that. I think you did realize that. Before, like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the nature of the beast.
Oh, I know, what is this? Oh, my neighbor, her daughter, in New York City, living with them now. And, goes 12 years old. And she said, she goes to one of those day schools in New York City. She said, I am so sick every day getting up all day on the computer. You know, whether she was in New York City or in New Hampshire.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right?
She said, just like, you know, visiting and I think, I'm hoping that one thing happens in this thing. People realize how short it is, some interaction.
The live stream is picking up conversation. The live stream is picking up on conversation. So just wanted to let you know. Somebody just told me. So.
Thank you. It's hard.
Just general, yeah. Good looking at me.
That would be the perfect.
Who's the third council? Karen said we needed four, right? Oh, it's the only reason I came.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's how many people seeing, right, Dana? There's only seven.
There's never been a quieter room of Democrats in my life. This is crazy.
Be seated. So, greetings to all of you here on this historic occasion. Every 4 years, we meet in the council chambers. This will be the 27th time that the electors have met in this room. And the electors meet today, as they are across the country. And it's always the result of an election, but over the years, the ballot has been a little different. In the 1800s, when the state first printed the state ballot to be used in an election, the electors' names were on the ballot, but the voter would just vote in one square for the 4 electors. In 1900, that changed. The legislature decided to have the voters vote for each elector. And so we've had 4 electors now for well over 100 years. So you had 4 votes as a voter. But that didn't last very long. And then they went back to voting once for the 4, in one place for the 4 electors. And that continued until 1972. And in 1972, the wording "vote for the electors" was removed from the ballot, and it just became voting for president and for vice president. So first thing I want to do is welcome our governor to come to these proceedings, His Excellency, the governor. You can be seated. So thank you, Governor. 28 years ago, in 1992, Governor Judd Gregg came walking into this chamber for the electoral meeting. And I just happened to see this on Friday because we have folders for each of the meetings of the electors. And in the clipping of that day, it mentioned that Governor Gregg welcomed the 4 electors. They happened to be Democratic electors because, and it had been the first time in 28 years that Democratic electors were going to be casting the New Hampshire votes. So he mentioned that this was unusual, and he would expect that in 28 years later that I'll welcome the Democratic electors again. And he was right about that, but he wasn't right that it was going to be the only time in 28 years because it changed a lot, and most of the electoral meetings since 1992 have been Democrats. So, Governor, we thank you for being here. Would you like to say a few remarks?
Sure. If you want to go on.
You may.
Okay. I'll be brief. Well, again, I just, obviously, it's a very historic day. It's obviously great to be here and great that we can be here, obviously, given the very trying times with having to wear masks and social distancing, but still to be able to do it here in the council chambers, I think is very important. It really is. It's not just out of tradition, but to show folks, especially now more than ever, our system works, especially vote. It's managed a very, very on both sides of the aisle, candidate or the other. It was counted appropriately here in New Hampshire, putting forth today, which is the most, say the least. So here, given all the different process on a Secretary of State Gardner and others, Deputy Secretary Scanlon deserves a lot of credit for just making sure, and all the moderators, right? All the individuals at the town level that just did such a great job managing that process. They're the real, if I may, the heroes of today, and made sure that this process that we're here for to represent today could happen so well, and with such integrity. And the folks watching at home know that while there are trials and tribulations across the country over the past week, it wasn't something here in New Hampshire. Our system works, and again, it's not just a nice tradition. It's on the backs of 100 years of a lot of hard work. Frankly, it takes a lot of hard work to make sure that this stuff goes off so well. So, thank you so much, Mr. Secretary. It's obviously great to be here, and congratulations to the electors.
Thank you, Governor. The voters came out, as we all know, in huge numbers, many, many more than we've ever had before in another election. And we ended up with a little over 72% of the voting age population. You have to go back all the way to 1964 to have a presidential election that had the kind of turnout that we had this time. So I want to acknowledge the presence of two of our executive counselors, Mike Crines, Counselor from District 1, and Andrew Walensky, Counselor from District 2. Thank you. Introduce presidential electors. Mary Carey Full. I'd like to Donna Susie from Manchester. Steve Shirtliff from Pentecost. Of the city of Summers. Some four honorary vote with the election of our country's first female, first person of descent of Africa and first person of descent of India as vice president. We have four honorary hosts. The first is Maitri Chiditi of Nashua, of Brookline. Representative Lada Mongitgudi of Nashua. And the Honorable. So at this it's an remarkable young man who this summer gave national convention in Harrington. So Braden, would allegiance? Republic for which it stands, one nation. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so at this point, we're going to begin this process, and always at the very beginning, we have those who have been elected, and you four state off. You are a state. The pledge. You stand up, each of you, and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I'm going to say I, and then you say your name, and then repeat. I do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as a New Hampshire presidential elector, agreeably to the rules of the Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire, to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations, elector. So your first order of business will be the election of a temporary president. So with that, a motion would be in order.
I move to nominate Dana Hilliard of Rochester to be the temporary president.
A motion has been made.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? There's a temporary presiding officer. So would you take over?
Thank you, fellow electors and Mr. Secretary of State. Floor is now open to nominate for president of the Electoral College. Temporary president.
I nominate President of this.
Made and seconded. Saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. Congratulations, Senator Sousa.
Everybody else on to is there a motion?
I move that the Speaker of the House, Mr. Shurtleff, serve as doorkeeper.
Is there a second to that motion? For keeper, all. Have it, congratulations. At this time, I would accept the motion to elect the teller for today's proceedings.
I move that Mary Carey from Portsmouth be nominated as teller.
I'd second that motion.
A motion has been made to nominate Mary Carey Foley of Portsmouth as the teller, and that motion having been duly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Congratulations. Thank you. And at this time, I would accept the motion to nominate a secretary. Motion has been made. Is there a second? Motion has been made to elect Mayor Hilliard, secretary. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Congratulations to you.
So congratulations. Now that you have duly elected your officers, you have the opportunity to say a few remarks. And with that, I'd like to turn it to Mary Carey Foley. Yeah, either there or here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Carey Foley from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and I stand before you as the third member of the Don Dero Foley family of Portsmouth. My grandmother, Mary Carey Don Dero, was an elector in 1956, and she was pledged to Stevenson. However, in one New Hampshire, to cast her ballot. 1972, enter my mother.
Would you like to make some remarks?
Thank you, Secretary Gardner. In 1775, William Mitchell was a farmer here in my hometown. In June of first came on June 7th, she was given the responsibility of American law. After a withering volley of farmer William Mitchell to get him. Private Mitchell, as a veteran of the Vietnam War, I've seen Americans shed their blood on foreign soil in defense of our liberties here at home. And today it's a great honor for me to be here as a member of the Electoral College, and I offer up my service for Private William Mitchell in the men and women of the Grand State who have fought and died to defend our rights and freedoms, like the right that we are exercising today to elect the 46th President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker Shurtleff. I'd now ask former Senate President Susi if you'd like to make some remarks.
Most historic day for being a part of in our country. Well, my father had the what it means to be a part of and allowing everyone to participate. His daughter, I have the honor of electing country. We have elections with extraordinary. Biden had run for president before, and I remember meeting him with my mother and my father in 1988, and he's continued to persevere. He's a person of integrity, a person who's lived his life in such a way, many times through great tragedy. Today, I'm also Kamala Harris to do so. A woman of African American descent, a woman of Indian descent. And what she represents for our country, I think, is unfathomable. And generations to come, we will begin to know that every little, no matter what color your skin in the country, and to be a part of that, to be a part of that entire life. So I'm honored to be here.
Voting process. Governor. So the electors vote by ballot, like the voters vote by ballot. And Karen, would you come in and so it's it's a separate vote for president, and then it's a separate vote for and President, would you announce?
For Joseph R. Biden, President of the United States, and 4 votes cast for Kamala D. Harris for Vice President of the United States.
Our election and for vice president. And we will be, those will be sent so that when there's a joint convention in Washington, the electoral votes will be counted. And interesting point in our country's history, not a lot of people know this, but when the first electoral votes were counted back in 1789 for George Washington, it was the President pro tem of the U.S. Senate was John Langdon from New Hampshire. And when the Senate and House both got a quorum, what state do you think John Langdon had his votes counted first? So if you go in the National Archives in Washington, you go in the front door, and there's an oval room if you go straight ahead, and there's panels. And the first panel on the left has the oldest original documents, and it has the document that lists the states in the order that their votes were counted for the first president. And New Hampshire, and it's how to choose electors, members. So New Hampshire had 5. And that first election, the Secretary of State, because it didn't say how to do it. There were 5 counties in New Hampshire, and gave the precepts to each of the 5 sheriffs. And those sheriffs distributed those precepts, ordering the town to vote for 5 electors. Return those votes to the sheriff, who would return it for. What happened? There were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of votes for different people, hundreds of people, because a lot of towns were just voting for people from their own town. So the Constitution gives the authority to the legislature to decide ultimately who the electors would be. And so the legislature here, it took 7 days for the House and the Senate to actually come to an agreement on how to pick from among those hundreds and hundreds of names of people to be elected, because our Constitution for the first 100 years required that any state office, the person had to have a majority of votes. That was changed in the last century to plurality. But it's going to be a sentence in the rest that we have today. And that's how it got started. And states that participated to an agreement, the House and Senate couldn't agree. Trivia question: how many states actually participated? There were only 10 states that participated. So the electors have been signing the sealed acts. I'm not sure it goes back all the way to, to George Washington, but it goes back a long way. And there's just a little bit of it left. So we've actually brought some new wax. And it's been customary tradition that when we seal, we use the wax. So
we have to put the certificates in the election, in the envelopes. We get 3 of these.
Elector Hilliard, what you want to show what it is that you're. So that one packet will be sent with one set of those documents. It's a package to the receipt. Another, the Chief Judge of the United States District. Then said.
Okay. Excellent.
Math do work, I've been saying it for.
Thanks so much.
We finished all of them. You've done a good job.
Our work is finished, Mr. Secretary.
Is there anything else that you
Don't like to.
Having completed our assigned tasks, I think the teller can deliver the ballots.
Motion, do you need a motion to adjourn?
Moved by Speaker
So moved.
Sherwood, seconded by Mayor Hilliard. The electoral college is adjourned. Thank you.
I thought it was pretty doing, Governor, but,
Oh,
I know.